This talk in the beginning on one book called Point of Power by Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. It's a unity book, and I really like it because it agrees with my beliefs, which are often a little bit askew, but this book is askew in similar ways to my ascuity. So I really like it, and I don't have to change anything I can just read this book and go, yeah, that's right. Okay, well, in the ensuing weeks since I decided to talk on this book, Reverend Cherie has had us on a series about this book, I Am the Word by Paul Selig. And it grew on me, because in the beginning I thought, this is a little obtuse, and I'm reading, but I'm not sure how much I'm getting out of it. Then one day the light went click, and I went, oh, wow. Oh, yes, I do understand. I mean, I am comprehending this. I'm able to use it in my life. So I do have to change. In this book and this work, I have to change. That's what it's about. You've seen the cartoon where the minister says to the people, do you want change? You want to change? Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry, I told it wrong. You know how they used to say, cancel, we'll do that. Okay, it says, do you want to be transformed? Oh, yeah. Then you're ready to change? Oh, no, Yeah, we want to be transformed, but we don't want to have to change. We just want to be transformed. So we don't want to have to do any inner work about that. So, Reverend Cherie, I'm going to recap just a little bit the 2 weeks that she has talked about I Am the Word. In week 1, what frequency are you on? She talked about our lives being like radios, tuned into particular frequencies, right? And so if we're tuned into the classical station, then we probably won't get any rap going on. So we know what to expect on that frequency. But the more we are willing to be transformed and changed and raised in consciousness, then our frequency changes. It has to change. It has to become higher, and it has to allow some different music. Maybe not rap, but it's going to change, and we have to be, maybe, but I hope mine doesn't. Okay, so, some people are afraid if they raise their consciousness, they'll have to go to South Africa and do work with people, and they didn't even plan on it. But I don't think it usually works that way. I mean, you do that if you're willing. You don't get just picked up and taken there necessarily. Okay, so we are manifesting and creating through our beliefs and our responses, through our prayers. If we're going on this path of raising our consciousness and of expressing more and more of light and love, then we are unfolding our divinity, and that is our path. And that is the path that really, all spirituality is about that in one way or another. But in the way we experience it in unity, we are expressing more of the Christ. Not Jesus the man, although he expressed as more of the Christ than anyone else that we know of. But by the Christ, I mean expressions of God, the Holy Spirit, good, Buddha, the highest self, whatever we want to call it and think of it, but our highest and best. Okay. In week 2, Reverend Cherie talked about I can see clearly now, and we can make a decision to see with new eyes. Just as this morning, if we were really, really singing the words of that song, open the eyes of my heart, Lord, then we are willing to see with new eyes, to see with the eyes of love, to shift our consciousness and to decide to be God in action, good in action. Okay, so those are things that she talked about. and she gave us this question: how are you going to be God in action in this community? So you may have been thinking about that, or you may have forgotten that she asked the question, which is okay, because it might still be working on you even if you don't know it. But how are you going to be God in action in this community? How are we going to be God in action in this community? How am I going to be God in action in this community? So that's where the rubber meets the road in spirituality. How are we going to be God in action in this community? That's what we're really here for. Okay. So now, going back to my little book, Point of Power, I'm going to talk about what Paul Hasselbeck, the things that ways in which he expresses, what is God? What is good? Well, each of us is a point of power in the present moment. And we are expressing to the extent of our ability, to the extent of our consciousness level, God the good, the Christ in action. We are doing that. I read a quotation that said, we do as much as we know at the time, and when we know more, we do more. I'm not exactly saying that right, but, when we know more, we can do more. So that's what's happening in our lives. Wherever we are, whatever our level of consciousness is, that's what we're acting from and doing. And that's why we really can say of everyone they're doing the best they can in some way, because at the level of consciousness. But if we're willing, then we can see and be and do more. Okay. So I can bring good forth from any situation. God is everywhere available. Things don't always look good on this level. They don't. I mean, this week we know the things that have happened in our own country and around the world, which we don't always even hear about much, but, those things, they don't look good on this physical level. I can't just say that's all okay or that's all perfect on this level. No. Not anyone's experience of it, I don't think. But we raise our eyes, we open the eyes of our heart, and we see it from a higher perspective, and accept that there are things we don't understand, or most of us. I sure don't. I don't think most of us do. I don't understand things that happen in the world that appear as, we don't believe in evil as a power and unity, but appear as sad, bad, heartbreaking. I don't understand those things, but I don't want to live at that level of existence. So I want to experience and express a higher level that does open my heart, and I want to see those experiences from that level, whatever I can. Here's a here's a local example. Just this weekend. Okay, one of our own young people, Baxter Spielman, he read about the situation in Orlando, and he said, well, I want to do something. And he said, I'm going to have a yard sale, and I'm going to give all the proceeds to a family who lost someone in Orlando. So he read up on the people, and he found a family in which the mother had died trying to shield her son. And he said, okay, I picked that family. And he advertised that he was having a yard sale yesterday and today. It's even going on right now, but don't leave yet, okay? It's really good prices today, but not yet. So he had a yard sale this weekend, and yesterday they brought in over $700 to give to that family, and then today they're selling whatever is left. And that was one young man, one young person, a beautiful person, who decided to make a difference on a local level to someone. So, what can I do? Well, there's an example, and there are many things, right? So, God is the presence that is the truth of what I am. God is presence. Everywhere available, through me, through you, in the present moment, always available. And Emily Cady, who wrote Lessons in Truth, one of our earliest writers, expressed it as God is power. Not simply God has power, but God is power. God is good. God is the good itself. So God is the qualities that we consider to be God-like. Sometimes in Unity, as our co-founder Charles Fillmore expressed it, the 12 powers. Power, strength, love, understanding, will, zeal. I can never name them all. Renunciation or Oh, I thought he was giving.
I thought he was cueing you.
Yeah. You know the 12 powers? Any other I left out? Okay, dear. I thought he was telling me, but he probably was, in some way. Okay.
He's got zeal.
Okay. Very good. So, this little guy expresses his power and strength. All right. God is power. God is good. God is the good. And all of these qualities are in each of us, and we express them to the level of our ability, to the level of our current consciousness. Each of us is a point of power in the expression of God. Pure love is always vibrating within us. Okay. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about the concept of the Christ as expressed both in the book Point of Power and I Am the Word, which are not necessarily different, but of course everything comes packaged a little bit differently. It's because there is nothing new, but there's a lot of new packaging. Okay, so in Point of Power, the Christ, each of us is an expression of the Christ. Colossians 1:27, Charles Fillmore liked to quote that, Christ in you, your hope of glory. Okay. And Jesus is our way shower. Now, for many of us, there may be others who have lived physical existence that we consider also spiritual guides or way showers. But in our culture, and because Unity came up out of our culture, even though Charles Fillmore studied many different religions, we still use the terminology, the Christ. Okay. But we can use something else if we want. I mean, if you want to have a Buddha within, you've got a Buddha within, whatever. If you want to have the good within, you've got the good within. True spirituality does not come from adding on more, from accumulating, but from diving inside and bringing the personality under the guidance and direction of the Christ. Okay, that's what this journey is about. As expressed in this book. It's any spiritual journey, but I'm specifically talking of this one, okay? So, diving deep inside, bringing the personality, me, Sharon, the ego, the one who does the best she can at the level she is, under the guidance and direction of the Christ, the anointed one, the higher self, the highest energy, and letting the Christ inform the personality. That means we're willing to change. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to allow the Christ consciousness to change my personality. I know some of you will be relieved to hear that. But anyway, well, not really putting myself down, but I always say what I think, Okay, I'm trying to learn moderation. Okay, all right. So, pure love is always vibrating within us. I am the Christ. And as an expression of the Christ, I express as any of those qualities that we said God is, as any of those 12 powers. I can express as love, strength, understanding, will, any of those powers, or perhaps other qualities, but those are 12 that Charles Fillmore delineated. So what we do is claim that truth. As an expression of the Christ, I express as love, strength, power, whatever. I claim that truth. Okay. Now, the Christ is one word that we use for the perfection of the highest energy that we know. Paul Selig uses the word. The word. Remember at the beginning of the book of John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Well, the Word is another word for the Christ. The Word, the Logos. So, I am the Word is not like, word, there was a slang term like that. It's like, I am the Christ. It's another way of expressing it. And on the journey that Paul Selig and his guides express, that is the terminology used. I am the Word. So affirming something is a little bit different. You can say, Word, I am Word, through my intention to finish this talk in an inspiring but brief manner. Okay? So that is one of my affirmations at the moment. All right? So, you are the Word. You're an aspect of God. The aspects of God. There again, the 12 powers, or perhaps other aspects as we may see them. Each of us is aspects of God come through each of us. All right? So, you're the Word, I am the Word, I'm an aspect of God being brought forth into light. Into the light. And that means we have to look at stuff. It comes up to be healed on our journey. It doesn't always look pretty. We need to feel it. We need to know. We don't want to go, well, I am the Christ. Push down everything. No, because that's not going to be transformation, really. It's going to come out some way. I am the Christ, and I am willing to look at and feel what comes up, because I need to be able to assimilate and what I need and release the rest so that I can grow. So I'm not a person who says never say anything negative, because sometimes our experience appears to be negative. I mean, if I hurt, I'm going to say I hurt, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to say, how can I move through this and learn what I need to learn and see a gift in it at the end? So I'm not going to push it down or just deny that something hurts if I have lost someone, if I am feeling sick. I have to move through it and see what the gift is in it. The Word is the vibration of God in action. I am the Word means I am the vibration of God in action. And I heard one minister say that the greatest job of a minister is to lead the congregation in the raising of each of their consciousness, and as a whole, a group consciousness. Well, I'm here to tell you that our minister came here to do that, if you hadn't noticed. And she is asking that of us. Are you willing to raise your consciousness? Are you willing to see things differently? To feel things differently? We know Frank is. You go. Yeah, and that's our question. How are you going to express as God in this community? That's for each of us to take into prayer and meditation and deep consideration and find what is the answer for us. So, each of us is an expression of God, an expression of the Christ. Each of us is vibrating, and we each have the ability to raise that vibration, to raise the level of consciousness. And I encourage you, if you're at all interested, to order this book in the bookstore, not an advertisement or anything, through Nancy, because it's available and it's a really powerful book. If you're not interested, fine. But if you think you might be, order this book. It's very challenging and very opening, which is a very good thing. So I thank all of you for listening, and I bless each of you, and I look forward to continuing our journey together as Word, I am Word, through the expanding of my consciousness. And so it is.